First of all, if you're just gonna sit here and watch this video of a auto rack train car slowly rotate, I advise you don't. Just put this in the background, use this background noise, whatever the hell you want to do. Anyway, I'm here to debunk the whole auto rack train car being used as a Fema camp train, whatever. Because on the internet people are saying, oh, these auto rack cars are being used to transport people from their houses to FEMA camps. And while it sounds like a way off conspiracy, you gotta question what's there. I mean, what they're saying. Well, let's start with what they say or what they claim. They said the Nazis used cattle cars to transport Jews and other people to the concentration camps from World War II. I'm not going to say that's false. It is a fact they used cattle cars to transport people. But if you look at the history, they didn't use cattle cars and cattle cars only. They also used box cars and sometimes even open wagons like coal wagons and all that stuff. So just saying cattle wagons were used, well, that's true. Just saying that is kind of a bold statement. And that leads me to my next point. Why would FEMA use auto rack cars to detain us or whatever you want to put it? Why don't they use box cars? I mean, I know it's rare seeing box cars on railroads nowadays, even more so living in Florida like I do, where you only see container trains, but, I mean, who's to say it can't be used? I mean, if, and the key word here being if FEMA was going to use them, then that's what they use them for. Another thing I'd like to bring up is the whole idea of the auto rack. The auto rack's been around, to my knowledge, since the 1950s. It's been used to haul cars and automobiles and the like. The first ones, they were open, so they're basically like the picture you're looking at, except it didn't have any walls or roof. It just had two racks, and the racks carried cars. The new modern ones, they're pretty much the same and stuff. You know, their purpose is to carry cars. I'm not sure why they're ventilated though, but I'm sure there's some engineering reason, like maybe it supports the flow of aerodynamics or something. I don't know. I didn't really do that good in drafting class, so I wouldn't be able to answer that with a good answer. But there's other train cars there that do good ventilation, if, the keyword here being if that were to happen. Secondly, regarding the auto rack itself, if you look at other countries like Germany and I believe France, they also use auto rack cars similar to that one, except they adapt them for European railroads. Like they change the gauge and the wheel arrangement, couplings, etc. Ergo, the whole auto rack or the modern auto rack, it's not an entire FEMA idea, which I was going to bring on earlier. Now, I'm probably going to be wrong when I say this, but it's kind of, to my knowledge, on how the history of the specific auto rack they're talking about goes, or at least how I know it. If anyone knows anything more specific about it, feel free to comment or something. That kind of auto rack, it's like made in the 80s or something, I believe. And they're owned by the railroad themselves, like Norfolk Southern owns them, CSX owns them, Burlington Northern, so on and so forth. Ergo, since the railroads own them, then FEMA would have to outsource to the railroads, which isn't really the best way to move people from point A to point B in mass. Because I know it'll be a lot cheaper. Well, not cheaper. I don't mean cheaper. A lot more quicker moving someone from say Miami to Los Angeles by a car or by an airplane as opposed to a train. I mean, quick-wise, trains you can carry more in one go, and I guess that's where this conspiracy comes from and the stuff. But still, I mean, then you'd have to raise the question: why FEMA, of all the government agencies out there, or whatever the hell FEMA is, I don't know, but why would FEMA instead of the CIA or the FBI be doing this? Even more so when FEMA was pretty bad in their response to whatchamacallit, Katrina, yeah. So why would an organization that wasn't really the best when it came to dealing with the natural disaster be ready to go right now, right here, right now, all that crazy stuff when it comes to allegedly kidnapping all the civilians and rounding them up and putting them in camps? I mean, why not the National Guard? Even then, you gotta think of the psychology of the people doing this. I mean, would a railroad engineer or a railroad worker, assuming FEMA contracts out to the railroads, would they be able to function knowing that they're carrying people to a determined camp? Would the soldiers be able to function knowing that they're rounding up their own people and putting them into determined camps? I mean, I get the analogy of, you know, the Nazis did with trains, so why can't America do with trains? But the whole idea of FEMA just doing this, it's kind of silly. It's even more silly when you consider the fact that this whole FEMA train rumor's been going on since, like, I believe the Bush administration. Now, I'm not really that big into politics, and I probably should be, but you can't really blame it on one president. I mean, you blame it on Bush. Bush gets out of office. Oh, it's now Obama's one to stick us all in camps. Blame it on Obama. Alright, do that, but if you're doing that, then that's just pretty silly on you. But, yeah. I don't know what makes conspiracy nutters think that they're saving the world by making these crazy videos like, oh, this is a video Obama doesn't want you to see, this, da-da-da. But I gotta admit, they are pretty creative, because I highly doubt I could shove my hand so far up my ass and grab some shit that's crazy enough to be said on the internet, and crazy enough to be believed by people who are crazy enough to believe in that kind of stuff. Well, I guess I'll leave it off here. So, there's the whole thing. FEMA trains are debunked. There's no way in hell a pretty shitty government organization would outsource railroads to do whatever. And also, if you guys keep saying this is this and this is that, FEMA said themselves, I'd really like to see where FEMA actually said it themselves in paper in black and white.